let me first thank you all for being here, for letting me be here with you today. Really a pleasure to be here. Very insightful presentations by Betul and Hashim as well. Really enriching and interesting content. We're all very much focused on how to boost SME access to factoring and how to help factoring industry grow in a better manner through the help of technology. So this is very much in line also with what I will be talking today about. So if you allow me, let me just share my screen with you. I guess you can see it now, right?
Yes, good.
Right. So I said today I will be happy to talk with you about mobile factoring and how mobile factoring can help actually increase the market penetration of financial institutions and factoring operators in the market. Now, as Pierre already introduced us, Advanced Mobile Factoring Solution, it is a relatively new fintech company established back in 2020. So during those years, we have created our proprietary product, which is called mFactor. And the basic idea behind mFactor is, first of all, the biggest part of our team is with a very extensive background in factoring industry. We have been taking part in establishing factoring companies from ground zero to profitable operations. So factoring for us has been an important part of our, let's say, professional lives. And what we aimed at with building mFactor was to address all pain points that we have experienced in our lives, both as factoring providers, but also from the point of view of our clients that they have been experiencing during the utilization of their factoring facility. On the other side, we are right now in strategic front-end partnership with FCOM, so we're very happy about that as well, because as we see, the more we unite forces, the better results we can achieve, because from our experience, again, what we have seen is that we can go to the market with partial solutions here and there and expect to have really good results. So given that the world is more or less going in the same direction, we all know that there is a great need for factoring. On the other side, we know that the access of SMEs to lending is very limited. So at the same time, what really needs to be done is getting into the right technology with the right tools so that financial institutions can perform the way they would like to, and they wish to increase and penetrate into the SME markets. And at the same time, this brings the results back to the economy by boosting it. We work in a very close collaboration with a globally recognized technology company. This is a software group present in all continents across the globe. So we do hope that through this partnership as well, we will be having access to many points of the world where factoring is still in birth process or about to be born, and we will be more than happy to help those regions as well. Now, with a few words about mFactor, as said, it is a mobile factoring solution, the first of this kind, which links all participants in the factoring transaction. By this, we mean on one side the seller, the buyer, and the bank, the factoring operator itself. For us as a company, the client is the financial institution or the factoring operator. So basically, our solution is provided to those institutions that already provide factoring services, and the overall idea is to make it much easier and much more affordable. The overall mission that we have had from the very beginning while starting building the product, but also now that we have the product live on the market, is that we make the business 10 times faster compared to how it has been done up to now. There is time saving for all parties at every step of the process. I will be happy later on to demonstrate also how it works so that you can get an idea. It is 5 times more cost effective because it significantly increases efficiency and profitability for all involved parties. It is 3 times safer and reduces operational risks and fraud risk with industrial grade of security. And as I said, it is 100% digital process. There is all documentation and all papers that are mandatory in factoring are being generated automatically. So there is not a single step in the process that needs any paper. And for that reason, it is also 100% green, which makes it really environment friendly. Now, why mobile factoring? We all know that on one side we have the factoring operators. On the other side, all factoring operators have different types of technologies that are in place. But why do we think that mobile factoring can give this extra mile in order to increase the financial operators' marketing penetration? On one side, here I'm stepping on what Betul presented earlier today on the statistics. Well, statistics talk for themselves. As we saw during Betul's presentation, we have a compound growth rate of 8.2 for the last 20 years. At the same time, there are very stable projections that it will keep on growing for the coming 10 years. What we have also experienced in our let's say professional life in factoring is that factoring as such, it has very counter-cyclic nature. So after a crisis, there might be a slight slowdown, but then there is a huge demand for factoring and receivable finance, especially after such cases. We have experienced this also after the financial crisis back in 2008 and 9. So on one side, we know that the business is sustainably on the rise. At the same time, we know that the digitalization of the level of the market is still lagging much behind compared to retail financial services. Well, why so? Again, when we talk about the nature of factoring, we know that it's very labor intensive and very paper intensive business. So it's not like having a simple credit facility where we grant the credit and afterwards the installments go on. So it's not that really easy to digitalize all this process, given that at every single step there is a certain requirement, be it regulatory, be it process-wise, in order to have this very strict monitoring on the process. But for the time being, the current level of digitalization of the factoring business is still primarily desktop-based. There are many solutions that provide access to sellers so that they can also have visibility and everything. But what really lacks, and we have experienced this especially during the pandemic, is the mobility and interconnectivity. Typically, in all solutions, buyers are left aside, not to mention about the level of digitalization for the ones that for the employees of the factoring operators. In all this matters actually, they lead to slower disbursement and transaction processes. They're usually cumbersome and expensive. And actually, the very fact that already the way it is quite hard for financial institutions to operate. This actually gives also the answer of why so many SMEs are rejected when they apply for factoring. The very fact that as a financial institution, I need to deploy much more resources in order to operate for an amount that's compoundly coming from a big number of SMEs with a big number of invoices for smaller amounts actually is not really making my business profitable. The only way to be inclusive of SMEs is really making the process, when we talk end-to-end, really end-to-end in a digital manner so that the human intervention is minimized, so that with one and the same type of resources, we can actually service this segment of the economy. That's why we do think that solutions that on one side give a big focus on the user experience of the sellers, of the buyers, plus the factoring operators should be at the focus of all financial operators that would like to provide factoring services, especially when they want to be able to service also SMEs. And we do believe that this is the only way to serve bigger volumes of transactions without the need to increase the head count. Now, a few words again about our solution. In fact, at a glance, as we said, we have three interfaces. One interface is for the seller, one is for the buyer, and another one is for the employees, the management and the sales forces of the factoring operators' employees. In terms of user experience, we have created it in a manner that it provides seamless digital journey for all roles, from onboarding to the execution of the day-to-day transactions. It is very cross-platform flexibility, which allows it to easily integrate with different solutions. In our case, what we usually integrate with is the backend operational system. We have already successful integrations with FCOM, with active clients of ours. Then we have also integrations with client identity providers in order to have the digital client onboarding, and also with different types of payment systems so that the payments can be channeled through the solution as well. What it does is it also provides powerful real-time insights, which actually provides all participants again to be able to easily monitor what is happening with their factoring transaction and what actions need to be taken. And there is also enterprise level of security. Now, based on customer testimonials for the live projects that we have, what they have experienced is that by using mobile factoring through our solution M-Factor, they have been able to decrease the number of touch points from 70 to 100%, which means that by bringing this automation to each step of the process, we have significantly reduced the need of offline or in-branch interactions between the different participants. When we talk that it is 100% green and paperless process, actually it has avoided the need of filling in, submitting physically or attaching in email any documents for assignments, notifications, requests for financing. It has all been eliminated. All those documents are being created automatically. So the only thing the clients need to do is to sign and e-submit it, which means that at the moment when this is submitted, it goes directly into the backend system of the financial operator. So we also eliminate the need of manual input, which on the other side also brings the significant time saving, which we see also as another big value that the solution brings in order to accelerate the overall process. When we talk about functionalities, what actually we do is we aim at digitalizing the process, but it starts with the client onboarding. So the client not only can identify itself in a digital manner, but also after approval of the factoring facility, the contracting and accepting all terms and conditions can be done in a digital manner. But what is really adding value actually is the day-to-day activities, which from a seller point of view means the sending the transfer of invoices. So this is easily done through character recognition so that there is not a single field which needs to be filled in automatically. All the documents that are needed by law, like the assignment letters or notification letters to buyers, which are again required in some of the transactions, they're also being generated automatically and sent. There are APIs with core systems. The disbursements and settlements can be done easily as well during the life. And then when it comes to communication, actually, this is the thing that gives 100% real-time interactive relation between the parties, which means that if I'm the seller and I have sent the invoice to the factoring operator, then this invoice appears right away on the backend system of the factoring operator. At the same time, I'm sending the notification letter to my buyer. He gets it right away as a push notification on his mobile. If the transaction requires a confirmation by the buyer has already automatically generated confirmation letter. He can send it back directly. So all this can happen within 2-3 minutes, while in the usual life we know that sometimes it takes hours. In some other cases it might take even days between this contact is done between the different parties and the financing is released. We have different reporting options that help the live factoring transaction, and different visual dashboards with the major KPIs as well. But I will be happy to demonstrate that to you in a few seconds. Now, a very quick slide on how it actually works so that you can get an idea on what value it brings. So on one side, we have the bank or the non-banking financial institution. We call it factor here. The factor has its own core factoring system. In this case, EF3 or EFX, we have, as I said, successful integrations. So what we do on top of that is that we have the interfaces, the mobile interfaces for the different parties. So on one side, there is a mobile interface for the seller, which, as I said earlier, can upload the invoices and the accompanying documents, send the assignment letters, notification letters, also the financing request. On the other side, all seller buyers, they have also their own interface through which they can not only visualize their payables, but they can also send payments. They can send the confirmation when it is needed. And if they would not like to confirm a certain assignment of invoice or invoices, they can also raise the disputes through their solution. And all this flow of information is again interconnected, so there is no redundancy, there is no double doing of any action. It is only about verifying and checking the provided information. And there is also the third interface, which is envisaged for the management and the sales forces of the financial institution, which provides dynamic dashboards with main KPIs like the turnover, utilization rate, profitability for different time fractions that are needed. And there is also a to-do list that facilitates, again, the sales forces in managing the factoring transactions so that they do not miss any deadline, any expiry date. Now, when it comes to implementation of the solution, we are adopting obviously the very agile way, which means that in the process, the way it is built, it covers, let's say, 90% of the traditional factoring. But when need be, if there are any particular specifics of the local regulations or the corporation itself, it can easily be adapted. In addition to the core systems and client identity providers and payment systems, we can also easily do integrations with other sources like trade registers, insurance providers, also the client accounting and ERP system. This is especially in the cases when a client issues a huge number of invoices, then he does not need to assign the invoices one by one, but there can be an export of all the invoices so that they can feed the system and it goes directly to the backend system as well.